Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Ohio.
Last night, the Indians borrowed a page from Earl Weaver's book. Strong starting pitching and the 3-run homer to make it 2 in a row over the Orioles. The Tribe's starting rotation is coming together at the right time, stringing together 6 straight strong starts in the heart of the dog days of August to climb 2 games over the 500 mark. Danny Salazar will try to keep the train rolling as the Tribe goes for the sweep. Next on Sports Time Ohio. From Progressive Field in downtown Cleveland, Ohio, it's Indians baseball. Today, the red-hot Indians look to stay on a roll. They've won 5 of their last 6. Today, they go for a sweep against the Baltimore Orioles. Hi again, everyone. Matt Underwood alongside Rick Manning. The Indians have had good, strong starting pitching of late. That has led to their good run, Rick. And Danny Salazar gets called back from the minor leagues to make a start today. Roughed up in his last start, but prior to that, he had won 3 straight.
Well, he's got a tough act to follow. When you look at Kluber on Friday night and you look at Carrasco last night, these guys were aggressive. They attacked the Oriole hitters. They've dominated the middle part of the lineup there for Baltimore, so he's going to have to do the same thing. The one key for Salazar, he's going to have to locate his fastball down and away to the right-handers. They have 7 right-handers in that lineup. You can see in his last 4 starts, 3-1. He's never started against Baltimore. He'll be matched up against Kevin Gausman, who is 6-4 this year, a 3.90 ERA, very good arm in his own right.
Boy, the Indians have absolutely stuffed Baltimore's offense in the first 2 games of the series. They've beaten Baltimore in back-to-back games. The last time that happened to Baltimore was a month and a half ago. We'll see if the Indians can finish off the 3-game sweep. Coming up next, the play-by-play. Cleveland, Baltimore, right here on Sports Time Ohio. McDonald's, I'm loving it. by your local Toyota dealers. Visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. By Panini's, get overstuffed at Panini's Bar and Grill. And by Jeep. Visit Jeep.com to learn more. The clouds have lifted. The rain is gone. And it looks like a beautiful day for baseball as the Indians and the Orioles wrap up their 3-game weekend series. Danny Salazar back in the big leagues, making the start today. Let's bring in Katie with him, who has more on Salazar's return to the big leagues.
Well, Matt, while he was in the minors doing his start in between, since we've seen him last, he was working with AAA pitching coach Tony Arnold. Tony has actually worked with Danny for the last 3 years. Coming into today, he said that his last start, as well as his side session, was the best that he's ever seen Danny in terms of fastball command, the movement that he was able to generate on his changeup, and especially his third pitch, that slider, both the command and the break he's able to put on it. So hopefully he can carry that into today, Matt, and if he does, we're in for a show.
Well, that would certainly be very impressive because the Indians' pitching staff is on a pretty good roll right now. And if they can keep that going, then obviously they got a great chance to finish off a 3-game sweep here this afternoon. Let's take a look at the lineup that Salazar will face for Buck Showalter's Baltimore club today. Nick Markakis leading it off, followed by Steve Pearce, then Adam Jones, Nelson Cruz, Delman Young, J.J. Hardy, all right-handed hitters 2 through 6. Chris Davis, the only other left-handed bat besides Markakis, and then Nick Hundley and Jonathan Scope.
Well, our GMC starting pitcher is Danny Salazar, who is 4-5 with a 488 this year. And the reason why there's only 2 left-handers in that lineup, Matt, right-handers are hitting .317 off Salazar, and 8 of the 10 home runs have come off right-handed bats. That's why, for me, he's going to have to get that fastball down and away to the right-handers, and hopefully that'll complement his breaking ball if he can get it down. Let's check the defense behind him today. It'll be Brantley at left, Bourne in center, Dickerson in right, Chisenhall at third, Ramirez at short, Kipnis at second, Santana at first, Gomes doing the catching. Defense brought to you by Kia.
Ed Hickok's behind the plate this afternoon. Lance Barrett at first. Crew chief Dana DeMuth at second. And Ron Culpa will be at third. The Indians' pitching in this series has been nothing short of brilliant. 20 innings, 67% pitches for strikes, and Danny Salazar. First pitch strike to Nick Markakis. Bounced up the middle. Ramirez, the shortstop near second base, throws out Markakis, 1 down. Our game time temperature this afternoon is 70 degrees as we take a look at our keys to the game, brought to you by Wayside Furniture. Keep the ball down. Where have we heard that before? Try to get to Gausman early. That key certainly served Carlos Carrasco very well yesterday in the ballgame.
Well, it'll serve him well every time he goes out there because he's thrown the ball well the last 2 starts, all coming from keeping it down and being aggressive. Same way you want to see Salazar.
The Indians' starting pitching rotation in the last 6 games has put up an ERA of 0.69. They've given up just 3 runs in 39 innings, including 42 strikeouts against just 5 walks. So Mickey Callaway thrilled with the way the starters are throwing the ball right now. And if they can continue that, you get that a couple times through the rotation, then this club might be able to get on one of those hot streaks. Michael Bourne runs it down in center field, and Steve Pearce is out number 2. Going to bring up Adam Jones, who has gone hitless in the series. And a big reason why the Indians have been able to shut down Baltimore's offense.
Well, they have dominated the middle part of the lineup when you look at Jones, Cruz, and Davis in the first 2 games between Kluber, Carrasco. Last night for Carrasco, 27 pitches to those 3, 24 strikes. And they gave up 1 hit. So, I mean, and they've held them really in check for the first 2 games of this series, and that's why they won.
10 times, Rick, in the 20 innings, they've set them down 1, 2, 3. So you start pitching with that kind of efficiency, and that enables you to get deeper into the game, something Carlos Carrasco did a great job of last night. And what Carrasco has done is on a very short list of accomplishments in the last 100-plus years of Major League Baseball. When you consider that he went winless in 17 straight starts. Only Carrasco, Ryan Dempster, and Bud Norris have gone winless in that many straight starts, and then immediately followed with back-to-back shutout wins. Scoreless baseball. Well, tell you what, nice job by Danny Salazar. He cruises through the first on just 10 pitches. The Indians are coming to bat. Sunday afternoon at the ballpark. Let's take a look at the Indians starting lineup for Terry Francona, brought to you by Progressive. Michael Bourne leading it off, followed by Jose Ramirez. Michael Brantley batting third. Carlos Santana 3 for 6 in the series with a home run, bats cleanup. Jason Kipnis, then Yan Gomes, followed by Lonnie Chisenhall, Zach Walters, and Chris Dickerson.
The GMC starting pitcher, Kevin Gausman, who is 6'3", 190 pounds. He's only 23 years old. Young man has a great arm. He can go from 94 to 99. Not much of a slider, but also a changeup that'll work. 2 different types of changeups. He's got to keep the ball down, as we say with every pitcher nowadays, but he has a very promising career. Let's check out the defense behind him. For Baltimore, it'll be Young in left, Jones in center, Markakis is in right. Davis gets the start at third, Hardy is at short, Scope is at second, Pierce at first, Hundley behind the plate. The defense is brought to you by Kia.
Michael Bourne 0 for 2 in his return to the starting lineup last night with a walk and a run scored. And Kevin Gausman delivers outside for ball 1.
This is a guy, too. They want him to throw strike 1. But for Gausman, if you swing at the first pitch and put it in play, hitters are hitting .545 off him. It's a big difference for him when he can go strike 1 to a hitter compared to ball 1.
2 balls and a strike. Gausman was the Orioles' first-round pick, 4th overall selection, just 2 years ago. Made his Major League debut last year. Pitched in 20 games for the Birds. 5 of those were starts. He went 3-5 with a .566 earned run average. So after pitching at LSU, he was on the fast track to get to the big leagues for Baltimore.
And one of those appearances last year came against the Indians in September here. September 4th, he allowed 2 runs on 3 hits over 2 2/3 innings. So this is his first start against the Tribe. He's 2-1 on the road.
Payoff pitch. And then fouled away by Michael Bourne. And a fastball misses down low for the second straight game. Michael Bourne starts it with a walk. You could see the utter disdain in the body language of Buck Showalter.
Well, you certainly don't want to do it. After we watched yesterday, the first 2 guys of the game walk, and then Santana hit a 3-run homer in the first. That was really the difference in the game. Set the tempo. So he doesn't want to. He wants them to hit their way on, but that happens with a lot of young pitchers. That's why managers have gray hair or no hair at all.
Jose Ramirez fouls it straight back.
There's the difference with Gausman. When he gets to an 0-1 count, hitters are hitting 195 like he is now. When he's 1-0, it's 313 for whatever reason.
And Ramirez going to bunt it right out in front of the plate. And a nice job by Hundley to jump on it and throw him out. Sacrifice completed. And Bourne in the scoring position here in the first inning. Normally, Rick, that's a case where the hitter's doing that on his own, right?
Yeah, no question. Terry's not going to put it on in the first inning. You know, he just walked the leadoff hitter. I think Ramirez just did that on his own.
I think he was listening to you, and he said, 0-1, hitters are batting $190. I better get the bunt down and be done with it.
You know what? I have no problem with that. If you can score the first run, especially against the Baltimore Orioles, that doesn't bother me. I mean, Ramirez is a young kid. He's up there. There's nothing wrong with getting the job done. And, you know, he tried to bunt and get it for a base hit. It's not like he squared around to give up and out. That's part of his game.
Michael Brantley takes down and in for ball 1. Baltimore, as Rick was alluding to, 46-10 when they score first. That's the best winning percentage in Major League Baseball. So if there's a team you want to try to get the lead against, it's Baltimore.
Nothing wrong with doing it in the first inning. Well, you mentioned it in the open. The back-to-back losses by Baltimore, first time in a month and a half that anybody has done that. That was Tampa that did it to them.
Yeah, and you've got to go back to even before that, the last time they lost the first 2 games of a series. That happened, let's see, when was that? May 29th and May 30th. Two-0 pitch. Down low.
Well, you know, Michael Brantley is going to make you throw strikes.
I mean, it's been a month since they've lost a series.
Yeah, they won 8 consecutive, right? Coming into this one before they lost this series. The Indians will take the season series with them, but they want to get greedy and look for the sweep.
Well, especially in the position they're in. They're fighting uphill. They need every win they can muster at this point. 3-0 pitch. Brantley takes ball 4. almost had the whiff of an intentional walk there. Well, yesterday in the first inning, Rick, they jumped on him with those walks.
Yeah, the table was set. The first two guys walked. There was an out made, and then next thing you know, Santana got on top of a high Ubaldo Jimenez fastball and gave him a 3-run lead. Situation very similar. The first two guys are on today via the walk. One out, and he's facing Santana.
Carlos on the year, 21 homers, 59 driven in. 3 for 6 in this series. Bourne the runner at second. Brantley down at first. Gausman delivers down low with his fastball. And like Ubaldo last night in the first inning, he's struggling with his command here. He's thrown 14 pitches. Only 5 of those have been strikes.
Well, the thing, I was talking to Jim Palmer before the game, and he was telling me about Gausman. When he keeps that fastball down, he's got great movement to it. When he has to elevate it, it straightens out like so many pitchers do. So they want him to keep that ball down, get the good movement. He can go with the changeup. There you see, I think, a little slider. But he said he's very inconsistent with his slider.
Well, that was a good one. It gets him back in the count at 1-1. Ubaldo Jimenez, a rough start last night. Second time this year the Indians have beaten him up. Now the 1-1. Runners go. Santana takes. Throw to third, not in time. It looked like Hundley just slightly had trouble getting a clean grasp on the baseball. And that's all that Michael Bourne needed to beat the play down at third.
I'm going to tell you, Michael Bourne had this in his mind for about 8 pitches. Because after he was on and Ramirez was the hitter and then Brantley took his first pitch, he had the jump. So he was just timing it, and he took off. You never want to steal third with a left-hander unless you absolutely know you're going to make it. He did. A pair of stolen bases.
2-1 pitch now. And Santana taking a called strike. Well, good to see Michael Bourne off and running.
Yes, indeed it is.
Yesterday's first game back from the DL after the hamstring problem sidelined him. 8 steals on the year for Bourne. 14 now for Michael Brantley. And the 2-2. Full count. Gausman's a big kid at 6'4". But here in the early going, having a difficult time repeating. Now the payoff pitch. And it's a high pop-up into foul territory. Chris Davis makes the catch. 2 down. Now Gausman with a chance to get out of trouble. And Jason Kipnis will be the batter.
See if Jason Kipnis can pick him up here. And Kip has done a nice job with 2 outs this year with driving him in.
Upstairs, ball 1. As a team, the Indians this year batting .261 with runners in scoring position.
Done a much better job since the break.
Now it's even up at 1-1. The 1-1. Missed outside with it. Kipnis on the year, 26 extra base hits. The nice thing here is a base hit. Real good chance to score you two with Brantley the runner at second. Up the middle. Backhanded by Scope. And throws him out. The Indians strand a pair. No score after one. In Ohio, Honda dealers. By the Cleveland Clinic. Call today for an appointment today. And by the Northeast Ohio Ford dealers. No score, second inning as you look in at Heritage Park. And the newly unveiled Jim Thome statue. Nelson Cruz leading off here for Baltimore, 2 for 8 in the series. A little half swing, it's 1-1. And he ran the fastball right up by him. So he's obviously got Cruz kind of back on his heels. A half swing at the off-speed pitch, and then he blazed a fastball by him.
That had a little movement to it, running it inside. See if they follow that up with a slider away. That was a fastball at 94, and it had some movement.
Oh, good off-speed pitch. Down goes Cruz. First strikeout for Salazar, and that was some pretty good pitching right there.
Came back with the slider. Check it out on our pitch tracker. There it is on the outside edge after running the fastball in. So it was a really nice sequence there to Cruz, his first at-bat.
That almost looked like...
Is that a changeup? It's hard to tell.
It didn't have the slider spin to it.
Well, sometimes with Salazar, his slider and the changeup or split, whatever he throws, it looks the same.
Delman Young, a swing and a miss. Now that was a slider at 88 miles an hour.
Okay, then that other one was the changeup.
Yeah. But he's got such a unique grip that it doesn't have the same action that maybe a typical changeup would. Fastball up through the zone, 1-2. Young hits one high and deep down the right side, but out of play.
Okay, check the grip here. Here it is, that strikeout pitch to Cruz. That's the changeup that he throws with a split grip.
No surprise that in this at-bat with Delman Young, he started him off with that slider. Because if you go back to that playoff game a year ago, it was a first-pitch fastball that Young hit out for the home run and got Tampa Bay on the board first. Swing and a miss. Salazar made him look bad. Strikes out the first two here in the second.
That was a high fastball heater, belt high, middle in. And notoriously, Delman Young, he is a first ball fastball hitter.
But here today, Salazar went at him with a slider to start. An off-speed pitch. I'm not sure if it was a slider or the changeup to put him away. J.J. Hardy, 2 for 7 in the series. Down low. Popped him up out of play. Count a ball and 2 strikes. Now the 1-2. And a high pop. Michael Bourne really fighting the sun in center field, but he stayed with it. And I tell you what, nice job by Chris Dickerson. He was sprinting over from right field to try to help him out. Bourne hangs in there. Birds go 1-2-3.
Follow every Indians game with MLB.com at bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. You get live look-ins, instant replay, audio scores, the free MLB TV game of the day, and more. Download on the App Store, or you can visit Indians.com.
Kevin Gausman got out of the first inning after walking a couple of hitters. Yan Gomes, Lonnie Chisenhall, Zach Walters for the Tribe here in the second.
Turning out to be a nice, bright, sunny day, isn't it? We could tell by the way Bourne had to shade his eyes. It's sitting up above home plate.
Yeah, he turned sideways. He got down on a crouch. He was really fighting it.
Tell you what, that's telling the guys run out every fly ball. You never know.
Up the middle, but look who's standing right behind the base.
Gomes is talking to himself going down the line. That is the second ball that as a hitter, when you hit that thing, you're thinking, I've got a base hit, and it's right into the teeth of the defense. It goes right back up the middle. Look where they're playing him, though. That's the second time. He did it once last night, hit the side of the mound, and I saw his head turn right. And I guarantee he had some unkind words to somebody.
Lonnie Chisenhall now 1 for 4 in the series, and takes low ball 1. Kevin Gausman, as you might imagine from his 6'4" lanky frame, was a basketball player as well as a baseball player in high school, but he gave up hoops his senior year to focus on baseball. And right after graduation, the Dodgers made him a 6th-round pick. But Gausman passed him up. Not many people can pass up the Los Angeles Dodgers, even if it was a 6th-round selection. He had a baseball scholarship to LSU, though, and obviously served him well.
Went from a 6th-round pick to the number 4 pick in the draft, so not too shabby. Made himself a lot of money.
I think I told this story when we were in Baltimore, but for those who may not have heard it, Gausman's great-grandfather installed the lights at Rosenblatt Stadium in the days before the College World Series became the big. So his fee was very modest, but what he asked for was 8 tickets to the College World Series forever, in perpetuity. And so Gausman, whose family hails from Nebraska, grew up going to the College World Series, never dreaming that one day he'd be pitching there for LSU.
I remember you telling that story. That's great.
Now the 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Lonnie Chisenhall goes down, 2 away. Speaking of that College World Series, as you take another look at the changeup darting down and away from Lonnie Chisenhall, Terry Francona was talking the other day about playing in the College World Series for Arizona, and they won it. And he said, we won the College World Series, and a couple months later, we go back there playing in the minor leagues, and he's like, it doesn't look like the same place. He said, where's all the banners and all the people and all the hoopla?
Yeah, that's AAA baseball. At least it used to be. I don't know what it was back then.
I think it was, yeah.
AAA baseball compared to the College World Series, not as many fans, not as much fun.
The glamour wasn't quite the same.
I can understand why. Get a visit from Max Patkin.
Zach Walters, 2 out of 8 with a home run in the series. Walters homered in the series opener, and at the time it was the only run of the game, and it looked like it might hold up before Baltimore tied it in the 8th forced extra innings. The Indians would win it in, 11, I believe, in the opener. It was 11 innings when Mike Aviles won that game with a home run to the porch in left field. Walter's home run just did clear the 19-foot wall in left field, but it took some video replay to confirm it. Zach has a 2-ball, 2-strike count. He's been moving around the diamond in terms of pregame work. He's been taking ground balls at shortstop, all over the infield, taking fly balls in the outfield. Terry Francona said, look, I'm not going to DH him every game, so I want to see where we might be able to move him around. Feels like he's a good enough athlete to do that. Strikes out here. Indians go 1-2-3. We are scoreless after 2. No score, third inning. Bottom third of the Baltimore Orioles lineup coming here. Chris Davis, Nick Hundley, and Jonathan Scope. Tribe with a 3-man shift on the right side of the infield for Davis. And he swings at the first pitch and lines it to deep left field. Back is Brantley. It's over his head and it'll hit the wall. Brantley has a great arm. Here's throw to second base. Is a little bit offline. And Davis goes in sliding safely with a leadoff double. It was close. Good throw. Might have had him, but the throw just sailed a little bit on him.
Well, Davis, great power, especially the other way. You give him swinging room, he's going to do it. That ball was up and out over the plate. Brantley played it beautifully as usual, but this throw is just a little bit offline. Ramirez had to jump for it, and by the time he comes back, Davis dives in, gets a double, his 12th of the year.
Now Nick Hundley, the Orioles catcher, 0 for 1 in his only at-bat. One ball, one strike for Hundley. Davis, that's his first hit in the series. First time he's been on base.
Yeah, they haven't treated him too kindly here.
0 for 8 with 5 strikeouts, but whoa, what a catch by Kipnis, and they'll double off Davis at second. Oh my, what a grab as Kipnis went up the ladder to snare the line drive of Hundley. So he takes a hit away from him. And Davis, figuring there was no way Kipnis would catch it, just put his head down and took off, and he's an easy out.
You know, that's the chance you take. I mean, this is going to be our McDonald's. I'm loving it. When you're a base runner, you think it's a base hit. Well, once he started, you might as well keep on going. It would have been a double play either way you look at it. I mean, coaches usually tell you, hey, you have to freeze on a line drive. But he thought that one was high enough to get over the head of Kipnis. It is not. They turn it into a 4-6 double play.
I agree with you, though. Even with his secondary leave, if he'd have froze, Ramirez was still already headed towards second. He wasn't going to get back.
They would have had him anyway. You look at that ball was scorched.
Jonathan Scope, a swing and a miss. O2 offering. Back out of play. Pulls it foul, third base side. Orioles really like young Jonathan Scope. He's pretty good size, about 6'2", physical player, good arm. Defensively, he can obviously handle the job, like many young players. How much he will hit will ultimately determine his success. Hits one between the wickets on Lonnie Chisenhall, and he'll go into second base with 2 down here in the third inning.
And he can hit a fastball, too, as you can see right there. He smoked that ball right at Chisenhall. I mean, it was definitely catchable. Let's take a look at it. It's right into the tracks. There's Chisenhall. Let me get a look here. Well, that's a tough play, but I'll tell you, they're going to give him an error. That will go as an error on Chisenhall. That ball was hammered. I will say that. They smoked it. But he
it's
didn't
one
have
of those
to
plays
move.
where it either goes in your glove or it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, it was right at him, but it was going about 110 miles an hour.
Well, it gives Nick Markakis a chance. Grounded out his first time up. He's 3 for 9 in the series. Markakis with a hit in 8 straight games. Batting .406 during his tear. Been a good player for a long time in Baltimore. And he suffered through some bad years as well. Earlier this year, he passed Ken Singleton, moving into 6th place on the Orioles' all-time hit list.
Big name there. Kenny Singleton now broadcasts with the Yankees. Has for years.
Well, Rick, before he passed up Ken Singleton, he passed up Paul Blair, who's another pretty big name in Baltimore lore. He's had 9 or more seasons of 20 or more doubles, joining Paul Blair, Brady Anderson, Eddie Murray, Brooks Robinson, Cal Ripken Jr. The 2-1. Well, he's showing good patience this time up. First time around, he got after it early in the count. Now he's got a 3-1 count with Steve Pearce waiting on deck. Swung at the fastball and a full count. You know, you think about Ken Singleton and how great his career was. But Singleton, as an Oriole, was just a little shy of 1,500 career hits. So only Markakis and Brady Anderson, among Orioles outfielders in franchise history, have eclipsed the 1,500 hit plateau.
Yeah. Kenny Singleton, a switch hitter. Yeah, Markakis has always been a very tough out.
And he draws a walk to keep the inning alive. Don't forget to tweet your photos to us using the hashtag STOFanPhoto for a chance to have your picture shown during one of our telecasts this year. It's all courtesy of AT&T. Singleton, Rick, I'm thinking about, he had to be one of the bigger players of that era, too.
Oh, yeah, he was a big, good-sized guy, no doubt. And he took up all of the batter's box.
Yeah.
He's still a good-sized guy to this day. Yeah, back then there was many. Those guys like that stood out.
Boy, as big as he is, as a kid watching him on TV, I thought, oh, that's a bad man right there. Then you meet him, and he might be one of the nicest guys in the world.
No question. He was a very patient hitter as well. Took his walks.
Pierce swings and misses, 1-1 to count.
There's the equalizer, and this at bat, a nice little slider down and away. This kid can hit a fastball. He hit it hard his first
Yeah, he
at bat.
did. High heater, 2-1. And that fastball threw it by him. I'm not sure if that one had a little movement to it or if it was just good placement, but he was able to throw it right by Pierce.
Well, a couple times I've seen the 94-mile-an-hour heater from Salazar today with some movement, running it inside to right-handers and away to lefties. 95, 96 seems like it's been straight.
Popped him up. This should get him out of the inning. Santana coming in on the grass at first and makes the catch. Baltimore strands a pair here in the third. No score. Just a reminder as you enjoy a cold one to stay tuned later in the game for Miller Time, brought to you by Miller Lite. No score, bottom of the third, and for the Indians, Chris Dickerson, Michael Bourne, Jose Ramirez coming up.
Both these pitchers, they're similar, a little similar. Very good arms. They're young. Gausman 23, Salazar 24. Secondary pitches need some work. Gausman has a better changeup than his slider. And Salazar has had a good slider today and a split to go with it.
Pitch outside, ball one. Breaking ball in there for a strike.
You know, that's early in the count. You're just going to throw it to get it over. That's a pitch I wouldn't swing at either if I was an Indians hitter until he proves he can consistently throw it. Early in the count off this guy, you're looking for the fastball.
Swing and a miss. Dickerson pops one to center field. Adam Jones will make the catch. One dime. Time now for a Mazda game break. Seattle Mariners are up in the Motor City taking on the Detroit Tigers today. Here's Kenry Morales at the dish. He goes oppo for an RBI single. They would tack on a sac fly, and now it's Seattle up 2-0. Robbie Ray on the hill for the Tigers this afternoon.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Now back here at Progressive Field.
Detroit 4.5 games ahead of the Indians right now in the AL Central. Kansas City leads the division with a mark of 67-55. They're in action coming up in just about 10 minutes in Minneapolis. Now the 1-1. Bourne backs away. Indians will head to the Twin Cities for a 3-game series beginning on Tuesday night.
Yeah, just a quick trip to Minneapolis for the second time.
And Indians come right back home to take on Houston for 3 games and then right back on the road again. Bourne bangs it foul. Kind of a little quirkiness to the schedule this year where you get 3 on the road, 3 right back at home, then back on the road again.
Yeah, for 5. Then back home for a couple of weeks, it seems like. Hell, after that Chicago-Kansas City trip, just one more road trip.
Rolled to second base. Jonathan Scope throws out Bourne, 2 down. And now up is Jose Ramirez. A little bit low, ball 1. Hit pretty well to right field, but right at Markakis. And the Indians are gone 1-2-3 here in the third inning. 3 complete, no score between the Indians and the Orioles. For the top half of the fourth inning. And for Baltimore, Adam Jones, Nelson Cruz, and Delman Young due up. Danny Salazar has made 47 pitches thus far. 32 of those have been strikes. He's struck out a pair, walked just one. Had to make a few extra pitches than he wanted to in that third inning after the hard hit ball to third base that Lonnie Chisenhall was unable to come up with. But other than that, it's been pretty smooth sailing, Rick.
Yeah, he's had good stuff today to this point. Has kept it out of the middle of the plate.
Adam Jones looks at ball one. He flied to right his first time up. Jones 0 for 10 in the series. Normally, this is a guy that can do a lot of damage all by himself with 23 homers, 75 driven in. He's their version of Michael Brantley with his ability to hit for average, hit for power, production, play good center field. Drives one to deep left. Back is Brantley. And at the base of the wall makes the catch. And Jones struggles here in Cleveland, continues as he's now 0 for 11. Our great clip of the game from last night, Carlos Carrasco. What a performance for Carrasco as he just continues to keep on rolling. 7 innings, 3 hits, didn't walk a batter, struck out 5, retired the last 15 Baltimore hitters in a row.
Now back-to-back very good starts. And what I liked, he went 7 innings last night. Not many more pitches than he did the game before where he went 5.
And as if that's not enough, he and his wife Corellis are expecting their second child. They just found out recently. So a lot of good things going on for Carrasco and his family, and he's obviously very excited about this opportunity. And he's taking advantage of it right now. Nelson Cruz struck out his first time up. 2 for 9 in the series. And he bounced one in there, 2 balls and a strike. Salazar really pitched Cruz tough that first time up. And much like we saw Carrasco do yesterday, good pitching, whether it was setting him up with the fastball or using the off-speed pitch to get to your fastball.
He did. He threw him a good slider away that he swung and didn't have a good swing. He ran a fastball in on him, and he ended up getting him out, striking him out on the changeup. Salazar has 2 strikeouts, both coming on that split change.
High pop. This is out of play, I do believe, and it will get its way into the seats. And the count is full for Nelson Cruz, who started the day tied with Jose Abreu of the White Sox with 31 homers, best among the AL circuit.
Got him.
Beautiful pitch. Salazar locked him up with a fastball at 96 miles an hour. His 3rd strikeout of the day.
Yeah, Cruz was looking for some swinging room and something away, and he gets the express inside. Right there, great pitch. Down and in there, he knew he had it.
Our stat of the game brought to you by Buick. Last 6 games, we mentioned this earlier in the telecast, but worth repeating. This is just the starters, mind you.
Well, that has been the inconsistent part of this pitching staff. And boy, if you could get some consistency out of that starting rotation, it'd be fun to watch.
Now, that's why you have to hope that this is something that they can feed off of. Even though there's youth and inconsistency and the track records maybe aren't there. It's kind of a sprint to the finish now, right?
You know what's strange is they've been able to do it at home, but they can't do it on the road for whatever reason. The road has not treated them kindly this year.
12 games under 500 away from
25
home.
wins on the road, 37 losses. But it's almost like they play like a different team at home. They come home, the walk-offs, the confidence, and when they pitch well here, they just know they're going to win it late in the game. And more times than not, it's going to come with a home run.
Well, the good news, I guess, is that they have a lot of games in September that will be right here at home.
That is true. Yeah, they've got to weather that the road for 3 games.
Right back up the middle, and I'm not sure how it didn't hit Salazar. It went right through him, maybe. But a 2-out single for Young keeps the inning alive now. J.J. Hardy steps in. Hardy flied to center his only time up back in the 2nd inning. A little bit low for ball 1. Hardy, a guy who's had good success against the Indians in his career. Yeah, I said it.
Well, I mean, what are you doing? You're just reporting the news. He has.
Yeah, but it was a Tommy Bow. You didn't catch it, did
Oh,
you?
no. I know what you said. Good success. I hear you.
Yeah.
Tommy's got the whip out. He's got a flag, and it is thrown in the booth.
Popped him up. Out goes the shortstop, Ramirez. And he ends up almost behind second base where he makes the catch. And the side is retired. No score, middle of the 4th. Baseball is brought to you by the all-new Sunnyside Chevrolet in Elyria. Sunny will save you money. By Levin Mattress, located in all Levin furniture and freestanding locations. And by Kia. Visit mykiacleveland.com to learn more. Heading to the bottom of the fourth. No score here this afternoon. Hey, log on to foxsportsohio.com while you're watching the game for a second screen experience. You can chat about today's game with Joe Reedy and keep up with everything Indians. Here in the home half of the fourth, it will be Michael Brantley, Carlos Santana, and Jason Kipnis. Kevin Gossman has not allowed a hit through the first three. He's walked 2, struck out 2. And he's currently retired the last 8 in a row.
Yeah, both walks were in the first inning. Both strikeouts were in the second.
Looked like the Indians had a chance to jump on the scoreboard in the first with second and third and only 1 out. But Carlos Santana fouled out to the third baseman, and then Jason Kipnis grounded out to end the inning.
Well, Gausman now starting to throw that slider just early in the count and get it over for strikes.
When the Orioles made Gausman their number 1 pick in the draft, he went 4th overall. Carlos Correa went to the Astros. Byron Buxton went to the Twins. Mike Zunino went to the Mariners in front of him. Brantley with a liner into the glove of first baseman Steve Pearce for out number 1.
Looked like that ball caught him.
All right, today's injury report brought to you by the attorneys at Elk & Elk. Taking a look at the walking wounded for both Cleveland and Baltimore. The Orioles missing Manny Machado and, of course, Matt Wieters, who had Tommy John surgery. The Indians without David Murphy, and it sounds like they'll be without him for a month. Nick Swisher went for a second opinion on his ailing knee. And hopefully, keep your fingers crossed, we might see Jason Giambi in the month of September. Carlos Santana fouled out. His only time up, as I mentioned, back in the first when the Indians had runners at second and third. Seattle leads Detroit now 3-0. They're in the third inning in Motown. Now the 1-1. And Santana drives one to deep left field. Young on the move. He's looking up. It's going to be over his head. It's right near the base of the wall. And into second base with a 1-out double is Santana. That's his 19th double of the year as he simply lined it over the head of Delman Young in left field.
Well, he drove that ball to left field, and Young, he wasn't sure if he had a chance to go after it or play it off the wall, but he wasn't going to get to it. It hits the base of the wall. And it comes back to him, but not before Santana could get into second base. See, Young was torn, and you're better off if you're not sure you can catch it. Just turn around and let that ball come off the wall to you. It's going to be a double anyway. So Santana, a 1-out double. Indians' first hit today.
And now Jason Kipnis, his second chance to drive in a run. And he takes ball 1. Kip 2 for 10 in the series. With all of the shifting that teams do, and Baltimore is among those that do shift. We've seen it with Yan Gomes. They've taken a couple of hits away from him. But for Jason Kipnis, Rick, they're virtually straight up.
About as straight up as you'll see for anybody. I think it was Buck Showalter that originally got the shift going. They do it as much as anybody to certain hitters.
Well, with first base open, you get the feeling Gausman's just pitching around Kipnis here with Yan Gomes on deck. Showalter always seems to be in that notebook. The 3-0. That time he finds the strike zone. But it was a pitch on the outside part of the plate. It was no just straight get me over fastball. And Jason fouls that back. Full count.
Send out some birthday wishes today. Mario Grace is turning 91. Happy birthday, Mario. Milan and Martha Nass is celebrating their 57th wedding anniversary. Congratulations.
Three-two pitch towards center field, dropping, and it's going to get down. Coming around third, Santana will try to score. Jones throw to the plate. He is saved. Ball gets away. Kipnis down to second. The Indians take the lead on Jason Kipnis' 37th RBI on the year, and he gets into scoring position when the throw got by the catcher, Nick Hundley.
It got by him and it hit the umpire, so I'm going to say that's going to be a base hit and error on Jones for the throw coming into home plate. And it gets by. He tried to make a good throw. It short hops Hundley back, and it hit the umpire. But then it still enabled Kipnis to get into scoring position. Here comes Jones. Santana had a good read on the ball. He was going to be able to score. There's the short hop. Gausman backing up. And watch it get the umpire. He's trying to get out of the way, or did it get the glove, actually, of Hundley. Hundley tried to backhand it, didn't stick. So give Jones an error. Indians take the lead.
And now Yan Gomes with Kipnis in scoring position. So Santana with a double to get things started here in the fourth inning, and the Indians strike first again. They've scored first in all three games against Baltimore. The Indians now 41-19 on the season when they get the first run in the game. Gomes takes again. It's low 2-0. You know, Rick, for as well as Gausman has pitched, and granted it's still early in the game, but well, you would expect the ratio to be better than what it is. Only 32 strikes to 29 balls.
Yeah, he's inconsistent with a lot of his pitches, you know, and command's the issue for this young man. You know, as I said earlier, he's trying to throw that breaking ball early in the count for strikes. His fastball is all over.
To short, where J.J. Hardy throws out Gomes. 2 down. Kipnis to third on the play.
Well, Wayside Furniture presents fireworks. That'll take place August 22nd. And the Indians will take on the Houston Astros. And Sugardale Dollar Dog's also going to be on tap for this ball game. Visit Indians.com for your tickets. We will return home. 3 games against the Astros and then head back out on the road.
Lonnie Chisenhall shoots one back, foul. Chisenhall hits one high in the air to left field. Back goes Young again on the track at the wall. He makes the catch. Crashed into the wall and hung on and ends the inning. So this time Delman Young throws caution to the wind, risks life and limb to make the catch to end the inning, but the Indians have the lead. The Indians have the lead 1-0 as we go to the 5th inning. Chris Davis going to lead off for Baltimore. Davis in the first game of this series went 0 for 5. He struck out the first 4 times up, all against Corey Kluber. And if we bring in Katie with him now, Katie, you talk to Chris Davis. He got a little history with Corey Kluber, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. They've known each other for quite a time, Matt. Actually, they played baseball against one another in high school out in Texas, went on a recruiting trip to the University of Houston together. But Davis said he's not surprised at all seeing Corey Kluber's success this season, specifically pointing to his ability to mix so effectively that he said a hitter has no pattern at all in which they can follow. But Friday night, he said his two-seamer command was just nasty.
Well, Katie, you could watch just the reactions that Davis had against Kluber, and you could tell that he didn't know what pattern Kluber was going with. He was caught in between most of the night. He's shortened a bunt there with the shift on. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, it's not only Davis. There's a lot of hitters in the American League in the same boat against Kluber.
A little bit high, 2-1. Davis doubled his first time up. One of the few times the Indians have given him any swinging room, though, in this series. They've pounded him in effectively.
Well, he likes the ball out over the plate. He has a tough time catching up to that ball in, and only one reason. If you watch his hands where they are located, they're up, and then as he gets ready to hit, they drop down, and he can jam himself because he's got that slight uppercut, but his hands go from above his shoulder to down. A lot of hitters like to start those hands lower and move them back to get him into a hitting area. If you slow it down, he'll catch up to it.
Santana with the flip to Salazar, 1 away. And it will bring up Nick Hundley. Rick, I bet you didn't realize this, but we've been visited in the booth now 2 days in a row by a world champion.
Swindell last night.
And Dylan Tyson, who stopped by today. He's a world champion in the Soapbox Derby in the Rally Stock division.
Nice.
Not bad to be a world champion at 14. Hundley drills it deep but foul down the left side.
Nice catch.
I mean, where do you go from here? You're a world champion at 14.
There he is. I want him to drive me home. I'm going to give you a hat.
Yeah, I'll drive you home. I'm good with that.
That a boy. We're not going downhill to Chesterland. We got to go uphill.
Congratulations, though, on your success.
Thank you very much.
And now you got to get ready to go back to school.
Tomorrow.
Oh, you do? You start tomorrow, huh?
Yep.
Well, you better hope for an Indians win, and we'll start off on a good note.
I want to see you drive your Soapbox Derby car in.
How long did it take you and your dad to make the car?
About 2 days.
That's it?
Yeah.
It'd take me 2 days just to get it out of the box.
Well, I'm trying to think about this. Yeah, no kidding. It's like, holy smokes. What number do you use?
706.
706, huh? Pretty good pitch there.
2 balls and 2 strikes to count right here for Nick Hundley. Danny Salazar. Wow, another close one. 96 miles an hour with that fastball.
Tell you what, he didn't flinch. Hundley, I mean, he had a good read. That's down in the zone.
Yep.
That's down in the zone.
Payoff pitch.
Above our heads.
Well, losing Matt Wieters certainly was unsettling for Baltimore, but Caleb Joseph has done a tremendous job, and Nick Hundley backing him up. They've done a very good job filling in terms of production.
Well, they still, with a 6.5 game lead, good fastball away.
4th strikeout for Salazar, 2 down here in the 5th.
Good fastball away. He doesn't catch up to it. That to me is still the best pitch in baseball. Well-located fastball. Down and away, especially when you can throw it in the mid-90s. Awfully tough to catch up to.
Well, and Rick, you've made mention that's the pitch that at times has been a little elusive for Salazar. The ability to command that pitch right there.
Yeah, to the right-handers. Yeah, that's why he has had issues. When he can get that ball out to that part of the plate and down, they're going to have problems.
Well, then he changes the pace, and Jonathan Scope fooled 1-1.
It's hard to believe that you'd say, okay, right-handers are hitting .317 off Salazar. Why? There's got to be a reason why.
Well, that one's juiced. Look out. Deep to left. Brantley looking up, and he's going to wave off the top of the wall. And Scope will stop at second base.
This kid, he can hit it. And I'm surprised that stayed in. That must have been knocked down a little bit. It was so high.
Now, Brantley was looking up as if it was not going to stay in the yard, but it did catch the built-in scoreboard.
Well, that's what you look at. You usually look at that defender. He can catch up to the fastball, and he left one middle of the plate. Look at Brantley waiting for it, and it comes down. It was just hit a little too high.
People were looking up into the seats thinking it was going up in there, too. Nick Markakis is grounded out and he has walked. Markakis had a good at bat though his last time up. He really made Salazar work and eventually reached first base on the free pass. Salazar's at 80 pitches on the day. 51 of those have been strikes. That fastball up above the letters.
Baltimore 1 for 12 in the series with runners in scoring position.
Outside corner. Painted well. And it's 1-2. Good eye by Markakis, veteran hitter, been around a long time. Able to lay off that teaser pitch. And now it's 2-2 with Scope at second base with 2 down here in the 5th inning. Indians clinging to a 1-0 lead. And that's fouled out of play to the left. The Red Sox came from behind to beat the Astros at Fenway Park last night 10-7. Houston's trying to build up a big enough lead so that they can't come back today. They're up 7-0, but still only in the 3rd. Now the 2-2 to left field. Brantley makes the catch. Salazar works around the 2-out double. And we'll go to the bottom of the 5th. Cleveland 1, Baltimore 0.
Media Group. That'll take place Saturday, August 23rd. The Astros will be in town. Plus, Pierre's Ice Cream presents Van Halen fireworks after the game. Visit Indians.com for your tickets.
Zach Walters will lead off here in the bottom of the fifth for Cleveland. Walters pulls one on the ground. And Gausman makes the play. In-game recap brought to you by your Toyota dealers. Jason Kipnis blooped one in the fourth inning. Brought home Carlos Santana with the game's only run. Danny Salazar's made it stand up through 5 innings. Rick, this trend of Indians starting pitching, going out and just putting up 0 after 0 has been some kind of impressive.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch. It has been fun to watch.
Well, especially when you consider this has been the area of concern for the club. There's been a lot of turnover in the starting rotation.
Well, and the offense hasn't been putting up a lot of runs. Other than last night, they scored 6. They won 2-1 in Game 1. They lost the second game of that doubleheader 1-0. They won 3-2 in the bottom of the ninth. So they haven't been scoring a lot of runs, but that pitching has enabled them to score the timely runs and win.
In the dirt. Two balls, 2 strikes with 1 out here in the 5th inning. And the payoff pitch is up high, ball 4. 1 out walk for Dickerson. And it will bring up Michael Bourne. Get inside the golf zone tonight with Jimmy Hanlon. He'll bring you all the highlights from the Wyndham Championship in Greensboro, North Carolina, and have tips to help improve your game. It's all tonight at 8 right here on Sports Time Ohio. The Indians are trying to send Baltimore to their 3rd straight defeat. For the first time since the end of May, when they lost 4 in a row. Which, by the way, is their longest losing streak of the season, a 4-game skid. They've done that 3 different times this season. But the only other time this year that Baltimore was swept in a series came at the hands of the Detroit Tigers back in May, and that was at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. And it was somewhat similar, Rick. The Tigers, like the Indians, to shut their offense down. In that series, Baltimore scored 1 run 1 run, and then 5 runs in the finale. But they lost 4-1, 4-1, and 7-5.
Okay. 2-1, 6-0 now. Sounds familiar.
Yeah. Bourne lays off. It's outside. 2-1. Dickerson drawing a throw, but he's able to get back standing. Bourne takes, it's a strike. Well, Michael's showing good patience in this at bat. Full count. And the beat goes on for Gausman. 76 pitches, but just 40 of those for strikes.
Got to start your runner here, I would think. Dickerson's going to be on the move. Full count. See if Bourne can find a hole if he sees a strike.
The runner goes. And a foul back by Bourne. Actually hit it right into the dirt. Maybe got a piece of the umpire. Yeah, I think it did. White Sox lead the Blue Jays 6-1. Astros blanking the Red Sox 7-0. Tampa Bay leads New York 1-0. They're in the 3rd inning. And Seattle still over Detroit 3-0. They're in the 5th at Comerica Park. Payoff pitch, runner goes upstairs, ball 4. Back-to-back walks here in the 5th inning with 1 out.
He did that back in the 1st inning. He had 2 walks in the inning. That was Bourne and Brantley. He walks Dickerson and Bourne in this inning. Setting the table now with 1 out here in the 5th.
Tribe with a chance to open up the game a little bit here, leading 1-0. Ramirez cuts and misses. Well, Ramirez not shy in this at-bat, turning it loose, but can't catch up to that 95. Just got a piece of that fastball.
The Indians with only 2 hits, they just happen to come back-to-back in the last inning. The Santana double, 1 out. Kipner's got a base hit to score the run. That's been it in this ball game, 1-0.
2-strike pitch, runner goes right back to Gausman. Goes to second for 1 on to first. A double play to end the inning. That's just a bad break right there. Indians had action on the bases, but Ramirez bangs into the double play. It's still 1-0 Cleveland after 5. Photo of the game brought to you by AT&T. Remember, you can tweet your photos to us using the hashtag STOFanPhoto for a chance to have yours shown during one of our telecasts this year. It's all courtesy of AT&T. Steve Pearce 0 for 2. He is flied out. He is popped up. And a breaking ball cut under it did Salazar. Ball 1.
Salazar this year, when he's a perfect 4-0 with a 2.79 ERA, when he can give you at least 5 innings. He's done that in 7 starts this year where he has worked at least 5. He's racked up 42 strikeouts, now make it 46 strikeouts compared to his 15 walks. And the Indians have gone 6-1.
Scott Atchison beginning to loosen. Now this is one of those, in Major League Baseball, this is a big inning. It's like a swing inning. That's driven to deep center field, and Borney plays it right at the base of the wall. And into second base with a leadoff double is Steve Pearce. Now that's where Pearce hit it his first time up, but he didn't quite hit it that deep, and Bourne was able to go over and make the catch on it. This time he really cranked it.
I'll tell you what, this kid, the times that we've seen him, he's got surprising pop in that bat. He can hit a fastball. He drove this one. It short hops the wall out there. Just a little skipper. Actually, it hits the base of the wall. So the leadoff double now going through the middle part of the lineup. His 17th double. The 3rd double for the Orioles this afternoon. Out of their 4 hits, they have 3 doubles.
A lot of times, though, getting through the 6th is critical for any team and how it sets up for their bullpen. Salazar at 90 pitches on the afternoon. And then he's got, as Rick said, the meat of the order here. Jones, Cruz, Delman Young.
Well, in the third time through, against Salazar this year, teams are hitting .339 that third time through the lineup. They're now 1 for 2. So you have to keep a close eye on them.
Hit him. And now the Orioles have their first 2 aboard. And that's going to be it for Salazar. Here comes Terry Francona. He's made the move to the bullpen.
Yeah, he's going inside with it, and it gets away and gets him right on the right above the elbow. So Baltimore will start with their first 2 men aboard against Salazar here in the 6th. So Danny's going to go 5+.
He'll leave with 2 on and nobody out. And the Indians on top 1-0. Our Cleveland Clinic call to the bullpen will be for Scott Atchison. He's coming on when we come back. Talking with Mickey Callaway after he went 5 innings, but a leadoff double, then he hit Adam Jones, and he gets the hook here in the 6th. So now it's up to Scott Atchison, and he's got his work cut out for them because Baltimore has 2 on, nobody out, and Nelson Cruz coming up. Now, Cruz had struck out twice against Salazar.
Atch got the win in the very first game, Friday night of this series. In extra innings. He is 6-0 this year, but right now trying to put out a little fire.
Ball 1 to Cruz. Foul right back. That got a piece of Yan Gomes. Two and 1 to count. Oh, that's a direct hit.
Sure is. Coming off the slider.
3-1.
Piece of his bat come off there? Sitting out of front of home plate if it's cupped edge. Let me see here. I saw something fly out. I don't know if he spit gum out there or not, or it's a piece of his bat, but I found it. It came out. It might be gum. Let's see. Off the end.
I see it right there. It's
there
flipping up in the air. Yeah,
I'm telling you, a little piece
is.
came off the end of the bat.
Popped him up.
That's why it didn't go so far.
And Ramirez makes the catch in shallow center, 1 away. Nothing wrong with your eyes, by the way. Time now for a Mazda game break at Fenway Park in Boston. Jose Altuve, the little big man, going deep. That's a grand slam. He leads the American League with 171 hits, and his batting average at .337 also atop the league. Now, if the Astros hold on to win, they will eclipse their win total from all of last year.
Wow. With a long way to go. 39 games left.
Swing and a miss by Delman Young, who is 1 for 2 on the day.
Yes.
And it's 0-2.
Well, he's looking for that fastball away, and he couldn't hold up. Tight spin on it, slider. Couldn't pick it up.
One of the fastball up high. That one maybe a little too tall for anybody's liking. Well, look at this.
Yeah, you keep them down. Don't give them any hope. They've done a great job to this point. Indians pitchers have just 1 for 14. Don't let them get one.
Couldn't get him to offer at it. 2-2.
They're looking for a spark, something to get them jump started. That big hit.
Swing and a miss. Atchison strikes him out with his slider. 2 down.
Boy, Atchison comes up here big time with a great pitch. That's the second time he threw him that good breaking ball down and away. Young comes up empty. You can see the spin. Excellent location. He gets 2 tough right-handed hitters out back to back.
And so here J.J. Hardy comes to the plate 0 for 2 today. 2 for 9 in the series. And he takes a strike. J.J. Hardy has the only RBI in the series for Baltimore.
And hit a pretty good pitch, too, if I remember. It was down and away. The breaking ball and took it back up the middle.
Yes, he did. That's a good point. There were 3 straight hits in that inning. That ball just disappeared, didn't it?
Yeah. Atches, he's got great stuff.
It's like now you see it, now you don't. It's there. Hardy starts to swing at it, and the next thing you know, it's in the dirt. Watch this thing. Straight down.
Crowd getting into it.
There's the 1-2. Slowly chopped it, but foul. Steve Pearce at second. Adam Jones, great speed at first. 2 down. Here in the 6th, and a 1-2 count. Hardy lines it into right field. Charging hard is Dickerson. Coming around third. Pearce waved home. Here's the throw to the plate. Not in time. And Baltimore ties the game.
Well, that's a clutch hit there by J.J. Hardy. He has both of them. And that pitch might have been elevated a little bit, and he took advantage, but he didn't try to pull it. He stayed on it. He took it to right field, other way. Great job of hitting. Let's watch the pitch. They got it away, but look at it, it's elevated. He left the fastball up after throwing so many good breaking balls. And give Hardy credit. He did. He took what they were giving him. Weren't really giving him that, but he may hit a mistake, and Pearce comes in. It's a tie ball game. Only their second hit with a runner in scoring position, and J.J. Hardy has both of them.
Chris Davis, the batter, 1 for 2 today. And 1 for 10 in the series. Nice block by Gomes. Boy, that was terrific. That ball bounced way out in front of the plate. Threw his body in front of it. Looked like he even might have thrown his left elbow out just to make sure it didn't get by.
Yeah, he just cradled that in to hit off his chest protector, and he did it beautifully.
Down and in, 2-1. Davis tied up 2-2.
Coming into this ball game, Atchison came in and had 26 inherited runners, and it allowed only 3 before that base hit there. Nice, tight slider, no swinging room, swinging through it.
To left field, fair ball. Jones comes around third. He'll score the go-ahead run. Hardy into third, stops there. And Davis with a 2-out RBI double just inside the line puts Baltimore in front for the first time in the series.
Boy, back-to-back 2-out hits, their 4th double. And let's see what Davis does here. Gets a ball, and that ball was pretty much middle of the plate and goes the other way with it. Wanted it inside, and he just goes the other way.
Both runs charged to Danny Salazar. And now second and third, 2 down for Nick Hundley. Atchison got the first 2 outs. And then Hardy tied it. Davis puts Baltimore ahead. And Hundley is swinging a foul tip. Out of play.
Jones, that's the only time you ever agree with me in my life.
Right at the second baseman, Kipnis. The inning is over, but Baltimore finds their offense for the first time in the series. They score a pair, lead it 2-1.
12,500 fans will receive a Michael Brantley bobblehead. That'll take place Labor Day. The Tigers will be in town for the final time this year. Go to Indians.com and get your tickets. Labor Day. Can you believe it? Already?
Yeah, I mean, it's breathing down our neck, isn't it?
It sure is.
And speaking of the Tigers, the Indians have that 4-game series with Detroit here at home starting on Labor Day, and then 3 in Detroit that following weekend. That's it.
And then we got how many times we have Kansas City as well.
Well, on that, not this coming road trip,
right,
but the one after that,
Chicago.
3 games in KC, and then KC will be here for 3 on the final week of the season.
Okay, so there's 13 games between the 2 teams that are in front of them.
And then you throw in 3 with Chicago, 6 with Chicago, and 6 with Minnesota. So a lot of Central Division action for Cleveland. Now they find themselves on the short end of the score, so they're going to have to try and rally. Michael Brantley, Carlos Santana, Jason Kipnis here in the 6th.
Well, only 2 hits to this point for the Tribe. They both came in the 4th inning. Santana double, Kipnis single.
Brantley walked his first time up, and then in the 4th, he had a line drive into the glove of first baseman Steve Pearce. Hit pretty well. Deep center field. Jones on the move. On the warning track. Makes the catch. 1 away. Don't miss Fox Sports Live as the crew brings you the latest news and highlights from a full day of baseball, hockey, and basketball. Watch Fox Sports Live nightly on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Carlos Santana doubled and scored back in the 4th inning. Tribe's only run. To first base, Pierce just threw his chest in front of it.
That's the way to do it, man. Don't let it get by. He did. That's basically what he did. He put a chest to it like he was blocking a ball behind the plate. And it was hit hard by Santana, but he's not going to let it get by him. Keep it in front of you, pick it up and go tag him. Then you can go rub it.
2 down, and Jason Kipnis to the plate. Kipnis an RBI single back in the 4th. Now the 1-2. And it's caught at second base by Scope to end the inning. Tribe goes 1-2-3. We'll go to the 7th. 2-1 Baltimore.
Well, check out the view from our Panini's overstuffed cam. Here we go, looking down into the flats. Nice look. Coming back into the ballpark. We're going to have a new pitcher for the Indians. Nick Hagedorn coming on for the second time in this series. Pitched a third of an inning in last night's game. Gave up a hit. But he has been pitching very well for the 21st time. He's coming on. Keep it as it is. He's going to face Scope, Markakis, and Pierce, the scheduled hitters.
Jonathan Scope reached on an error back in the third inning. And he doubled, just missed hitting one out of here in the fifth inning.
Well, that error that he hit at Chisenhall, that ball was hit right on the nose. It was a vicious line drive right at line. He just couldn't handle it. So he's hit the ball twice today very, very hard.
Swing and a miss.
Did they bring in the organ?
Right back to Hagedorn. Takes his time. Throws him out. One down.
Well, check out 4321. It's one of the best deals here at the ballpark. You can take advantage of $4 12-ounce beers, $3 hot dogs, $2 pop refills. Visit Indians.com for your tickets.
Top of the order, Nick Markakis, 0 for 2. 3 out of 10 in the series.
And he's the one that got the base hit off Hagedorn. First ball, fastball. Took it right back up the middle.
Back out of play. CC Lee getting loose for the Tribe. The way Buck Showalter stacked his lineup today, he's got 5 right-handed hitters in a row after Markakis. To right field. 2 down. And here comes Terry Francona. Looks like he's going to make a move. He will go to CC Lee with 2 outs and the bases empty here in the 7th. And Baltimore leading it 2-1. With Tribe Greats, get all the gear and much more. Limited spots remain for 2015. Visit Indians.com/fantasycamp for complete details.
Yeah, from what I understand, talking to Nate, they're getting to their limit. They only, I think 95, 96 is sold out, and they're getting close. So if you're interested, call soon. Make sure you get in. It's a great week. Get out of the winter here in Cleveland in January.
CeCe Lee, 20th appearance on the season, 0-1, 3.57 ERA. Man, with 2 down, he'll be facing Steve Pearce. Drilled deep to left. If it's fair, it's gone. Goodbye. Steve Pearce goes deep. His 12th home run of the year. He takes CeCe Lee out. And it's now 3-1 Baltimore.
His 12th home run, it was a no-doubter. The only doubt is if it was going to stay fair.
Our Here Right audiology sounds of the game.
Yeah, that's what you hear when you're an outfielder, and you know it's hit well.
Now Adam Jones 0 for 2.
Baltimore, league leaders in home runs. That's 153 as a team. They have the 4 doubles today to go with that home run. A couple of singles.
Broke his bat, lines at the left. And that will bring up Nelson Cruz.
Well, he's been quiet all series up until he was hit by a pitch. He scored the go-ahead run back in the 6th inning because he was hit. Now he gets his base hit. His first base hit.
Chopped to third. Chisenhall near the bag, sets and throws. Picked out of the dirt by Santana. Steve Pearce sends a home run to the porch in left field, and it's now Baltimore 3, Cleveland 1. 7th inning stretch brought to you by Spitzer Auto World. Life is hard. Buying a car shouldn't be. Well, as we promised you earlier, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Let's jump in the Wayback Machine. August 4th, 1996. B.J. Surhoff of the Birds thinks he's got a home run.
Wow.
Kenny Lofton goes up and over.
Boy. Never forget that one. That's one of the all-timers right there. Huh? How about that one? You may never see something that nice again here at this park. That's unbelievable.
Well, the Indians now find themselves down a couple of runs. Darren O'Day on for the 53rd time this year. Gomes, Chisenhall, Walters due for Cleveland. O'Day.
Time for a little comeback now. They only have 2 hits, so they got to get something going offensively.
An inning and a third of scoreless relief for O'Day in the series opener. Struck out a pair, gave up a hit, had 1 intentional walk. Ball 1 to Yan Gomes. That's outside 2-0. Hit pretty well to right field, but drifting back, Markakis makes the catch, 1 down. So you've got Darren O'Day, who's that side armor, gives you a little bit of a different look. Katie Witham downstairs. Got to be difficult for the hitters to pick up a release point.
Yeah, it really is, Matt. Lonnie Chisenhall told me he really reminds him and resembles Brad Ziegler from the Diamondbacks, but he said there's just so much deception with his delivery. You have to focus solely, right at his hip where the ball comes out of his hands. He went on to say, his numbers speak for himself. His goal is always to get you out, reaching, and then go up and in. So his plan at the plate today is to be aggressive and to stay on top of the ball.
Well, he was aggressive there. Swinging at that first pitch. Looks like it was in off the plate. Slider. Now, that's a left-hander telling you that it's tough to pick up, and he has things. So you would think it would be a little tougher from the right side, wouldn't you? It's just a tough location of where to pick up the ball. You're not used to looking in that slot. They have thrown 8 straight strikes to Chisenhall.
Popped him up. Scope has it, 2 down. Well, Darren O'Day's one of those guys who went to college and got cut from the baseball team, went home, and just kind of fooling around in a summer recreation league, learned how to throw sidearm. He taught himself just kind of a different arm angle, and the more he worked on it, the more he realized my velocity really isn't the issue now. Now I just have to find an arm slot, and the movement and just the deception takes care of everything.
Well, normally you have a coach in the minor leagues that says, hey, look, why don't you try throwing from a different slot, give you a little more deception, something different. You're not throwing that hard, just to give you something else. But if he figured it out on his own, pretty good idea.
Well, and then he went back to the Gators with this new funky delivery, and they said, here's a uniform, you're on the team. He made the team the next year and eventually became their closer.
That's what you need out of bullpens is different looks. You're going to have now 8 relievers, maybe more than that sometimes. So you've got to have different looks, because if everybody's going to throw 95 and they're going to throw it from the same slot and be the same kind of guy, it's got to change. And that's one thing that Baltimore, they have coming out of that bullpen, the Indians. Every team tries to get a little deception in there if you can. Mix up your left-handers.
Tied him up inside, 1-2. And he blew him away. 1, 2, 3 go the Indians. We go to the 8th, 3-1 Baltimore. May not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Indians. Stay tuned for Indians Live, brought to you by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care. Al and Jason will have the highlights and analysis. It's all coming up right after the game here on Sports Time Ohio. Delman Young, J.J. Hardy, Chris Davis due for the Birds. Delman Young, 1 out of 3 on the day. His base hit came back in the 4th inning. 2 hits in the series. And it's 0-2. Seattle putting a good whipping on Detroit. They lead the Tigers 7-0 in the 7th inning. Young strikes out, 1 down.
Now, it was just a matter of time. The Orioles, this Pierce has been swinging the bat very well today. He got that 6th inning off started right, and then all of a sudden, J.J. Hardy, the guy that was the 2nd time they got a hit with a runner in scoring position in the series, and he had both of them. But that's what they needed. They needed a spark. Then all of a sudden, here comes Davis. He takes a fastball the other way, drives in the run. They get a home run, and I'll tell you, that's all they needed was a little spark to give them a little energy. Now it's up to the Indians to respond. put a 0 on this inning and go try and find some way to score.
J.J. Hardy with a base hit back up the middle. In-game box score brought to you by your Hyundai dealers. And you look at Baltimore. Steve Pearce, 2 hits, including the homer, scored twice. J.J. Hardy now with a couple of hits. Chris Davis has 2 hits, including an RBI bloop double. Time now for another pitching change. Terry Francona will go back to the bullpen. Left-hander Kyle Crockett will be coming on when we come back. One on, one out here in the 8th inning. 5th innings pitcher to work today is Kyle Crockett. He's on for the 28th time this year. 2-0 and 1.19 ERA. 22 2/3 innings. He has struck out 20 and walked just 6.
Well, he has Davis, the left-hander. Then you get back to a couple of right-handers. Davis got the big hit back in the 6th inning. Following Hardy going the other way. Both his hits today, Davis, is doubles. That last one down the left field line, the other one to left over the head of Brantley.
Davis takes a strike. First place Kansas City Royals thumping Minnesota at Target Field 7-1. Royals have scored 7 runs despite only 5 hits. Tommy Malone started that game for Minnesota, recently acquired from Oakland. He lasted just an inning and a third. And a strike called 1-2 the count. Now it's 2-2. And that's low and away. Full count. Got him looking. Davis is punched out. Second out of the inning.
Perfect pitch. Kyle Crockett coming in there and just drilling it down in the knees. Outside, let's see. It is down. It's at the knees. Davis doesn't like it. Might have been a little wide. He didn't think he could hit it. He takes it, but gets the call. Ed Hickok says that was a strike. Davis saying, I don't think so.
Nick Hundley, 0 for 3. Swing and a miss. I love the pitcher's perspective on that Scott Bales brought to the booth the other night.
Oh, yeah.
Said, if the umpire called it a strike, it's a strike.
Yeah, they're not going to change it, so go on.
Oh, you know what? You're right. It was a ball. I'll change it. It never happens, ever.
Well, that's because he was a pitcher.
Right,
those
I know. I
guys
love
have
the different
thing.
perspective, though.
How about when you make that 3-2 pitch and he calls it a ball?
Oh, now we got a little different.
Then you go, wait a minute,
rhubarb.
you just walked him. No, you didn't. Sure, it all depends on what way you're looking at it. Yes,
Trying to hold up, but he went, says home plate umpire Ed Hickox, and the inning is over. We'll head to the bottom of the 8th here at Progressive Field. It's Baltimore 3, Cleveland 1. Three-1 Baltimore, bottom of the 8th inning. And the O's will go back to their bullpen. Third pitcher of the day is left-hander Andrew Miller. Miller will be working for the second time in the series. He pitched an inning and a third scoreless relief in the series opener. Defensively now for Baltimore, Chris Davis goes from third over to first. Ryan Flaherty comes into the ball game, takes over at third. And Steve Pearce goes out to left field, taking over there for Delman Young. Indians get a pinch hitter, Mike Aviles, to bat for Chris Dickerson. Dickerson was 0 for 1 with a walk. As a pinch hitter this year, Aviles is 0 for 7. Wrapped it around the outside corner. Tied him up. Good pitch.
Excellent pitch. Well, that was it looked like a running fastball.
It had movement. I mean,
it looked like it went down and in. It almost looked like a cutter, but it was so hard. It was. It was a running fastball at 96. Ouch. That ball ran into the right-hander. Boy, and as a righty, that's tough to lay off, and you don't have much time to make a decision. You're either swinging and swinging early, and you can't hold up on it. Tough pitch.
Michael Bourne, 0 for 1 with a couple of walks, takes a strike on the outside corner. Since coming off the DL, Michael 0 for 3, but has walked 3 times. He's stolen a base and he's scored a run. Here he finds himself quickly in the hole 0-2. Ryan Rayburn will pinch hit for Jose Ramirez as he moves to the on-deck circle. Tribe right now looking for a base runner to get that tying run to the plate. Right now, Baltimore pitching has dominated. They've retired 8 straight Indians hitters. Last time the Tribe had a chance, they had 2 on with 1 out in the 5th after back-to-back walks to Dickerson and Bourne. But with Jose Ramirez at the plate, he hit a hard bouncer right back to the mound. It was snared by the pitcher, Gausman, who turned and started an inning-ending double play, and the Indians haven't had a base runner since. And in the very next half inning, that's when Baltimore scored 2 runs to take their first lead in the series. Bourne out looking, 2 down. 3 straight strikeouts now by Orioles pitching.
Well, this guy's 6'7", and when you see that arm coming out from the side, you can see that pitch from a left-handed hitter. That's a tough one, sort of locks you up, and Michael couldn't pull the trigger. Tough on lefties, and that pitch to Michael Vilas wasn't easy either.
Ryan Rayburn shoots one foul on the right side. Rayburn this year as a pinch hitter, 3 for 16. .96-mile-an-hour fastball, and Miller raring back. 13 pitches, 10 for strikes. A little bit low.
That's that little try to hit the back door breaking ball away. Now he can come back in with that same pitch he threw to Aviles just to surprise the right-hander if he wants, or go back to his fastball.
2 balls and 2 strikes with 2 down here in the 8th inning. Low and in, full count. Michael Brantley waiting on deck. Got him looking at a breaking ball. Miller strikes out the side in the 8th. It stays 3-1 Baltimore. Kyle Crockett staying on a pitch for Cleveland. Defensively, Mike Aviles takes over at shortstop. Ryan Rayburn goes out to right field. Jonathan Scope will lead it off. And the top of the order for Baltimore. Outside, he missed ball 1. Swing and a miss, 1 and 2. Center field, back goes Bourne, still going back. He's out of room, and it is out of here. Jonathan Scope. He doubled, just missing a home run in the 5th inning. He didn't miss this time. Home run number 12 for Scope, RBI number 33, and it's 4-1 Orioles. Took them a while to get their offense going in this series, but they found their home run stroke late.
They just needed that first spark to get on the board. And I'll tell you, both Pierce and Scope have swung the bat very well today for Baltimore. Both with a double, both with a home run. That is 10 hits now for Baltimore. It's a 4-1 lead.
Outside corner, a called strike. Down the line. Fair ball. Off the sidewall and into second base is Markakis with a double.
Double number 5 for Baltimore.
Here comes Terry Francona. We're going to get another pitching change. Timeout here in the ninth. Baltimore with another run in. Man on, nobody out. They lead it 4-1. Keep it down. Well, for 5 innings, he was really good. Then he gave up a double to start the 6th, hit a batter, and then was yanked.
Yeah, he didn't give up his runs. Atchison came in, who's been so good this year as far as holding inherited runners down, and gave up both of them. But, Salazar, 5 innings, 4 hits. And the Indians, 2 hits on the ball game.
Yeah, Baltimore's pitching has been pretty good, too, today. First game of the series and today. Josh Tomlin out of the bullpen. Up and away, ball 1 to Steve Pearce. Pearce doubled and scored in the 6th, then he clobbered a home run in the 7th. Two balls, no strikes.
Now the 2-1. Swing and a miss. What makes the task all the more daunting for the Indians now is the fact that they haven't done much offensively, and Baltimore's bullpen has now pitched 8 2/3 innings, and they've given up 1 run.
Well, you've got to keep it right here. You can't let them jump it up anymore.
Strikes out Pierce, 1 away.
Get a little cutter here from Josh Tomlin, where he's going to end up getting the strikeout. Pierce didn't have a good swing at that one. So first out in the inning.
With 2 more home runs today, Baltimore now with 154 to lead the big leagues. And they're trying to do it again with a 200 home run season. They've done it 7 times in franchise history. They've never done it 3 times in a row, but they could this year. They hit 200 in each of the last 2 seasons. And with a month and a half to go, I guess it's feasible. They could.
I think they'll do it.
Get there.
They get Machado back.
Jones just waved at that pitch, and it's 0-2. When Baltimore hits more than 1 home run in a game, they're 35-10. And they've had more multi-homer games than anybody in baseball, 45 times this year.
Well, we kept saying that they've hit more home runs on the road than they have at home this year, and we know that Baltimore is a good home run hitter's park.
Aviles with a long throw, but off the mark. I think Mike knew he really didn't have much of a chance to get Jones as deep in the hole as that ball was hit. He just tried to get rid of it in as quickly as he could. He knew he didn't have time to set and.
Yeah, get rid of it. He knows he can get down the line and perfect play. He just wasn't going to happen. 3rd hit in the inning for Baltimore.
And Nelson Cruz 0 for 4 today, the batter. Squibbed up the first baseline, and it will stay foul. Nelson Cruz is the 18th different Baltimore Oriole to hit 30 homers and 20 doubles in the season. Eddie Murray did it 5 times for Baltimore. That's the club record. Line to third, caught by Lonnie. Now the runners hustle back, 2 down. We got a timeout for another pitching change. Ryan Flaherty, left-handed batter, was going to come up. So Francona's going to go to another left-hander. Looks like Zipchinski's coming on when we come back. Stay tuned for Indians Live, brought to you by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care. Coming up next here on Sports Time Ohio. Mark Zubchinski is the third Indians pitcher of the inning. And he'll be on to try and retire Ryan Flaherty and keep this a 3-run deficit. Orioles at first and second with 2 down. Raining once again in Minnesota. They were late getting started.
I saw that.
And now they've gone into a delay again.
I think that's still just in the 4th inning.
The Royals are up 7-2. As Flaherty bounces one over towards first. Zubchinski flips it to Santana just in time, and the inning is over. Orioles add another run. Last chance for the Tribe coming up next. They trail 4-1. (4-1) Baltimore, bottom of the ninth. Last chance here for the Indians to try and get back in this baby. Michael Brantley, Carlos Santana, Jason Kipnis are due up. Zach Britton on for the Birds, 55th appearance of the year. 25 out of 28 in save opportunities. David Lowe has come on now defensively in left field.
Well, let's see if the Tribe has a finish in them. Down 3. Get that leadoff man aboard, and you just never know.
Brantley 0 for 2 with a walk here today. Now 1-0 pitch. Missed inside. 2 balls, no strikes. And a called strike. Off the plate, big chopper to first. Davis takes it himself, 1 down. Off date tomorrow. Indians will travel to Minnesota. And a 3-game series with the Twins will commence on Tuesday. Carlos Santana doubled and scored in the 4th. Now it's 2-0. Three balls, no strikes. Santana and then Jason Kipnis here in the 9th for Cleveland. And it's ball 4 to Santana. Well, here's Jason Kipnis, and on the day, Kipnis is 1 for 3. He had an RBI single back in the 4th inning. Another base runner would get the tying run to the plate. And it's up and away, ball 1.
Get one more base runner, you can get that tying run to the plate.
And Kipnis looks at a strike over the outside corner. Evening things up in 1-1. Orioles double play depth, as we mentioned earlier. They play Kipnis as straight up as any hitter. And it's now 1-2. Britton looking for his 26th save on the year. Double play ball to second base. And there's your ball game. The Orioles take the series finale by a final score of 4-1. Kevin Gausman gets the win. He goes to 7-4 for Baltimore. Zach Britton gets his 26th save. Danny Salazar takes the loss for the Tribe. He's now 4-6. With the win, Baltimore gets their 70th win of the season. They're 70-52. The Indians are now 62-61. Not much doing for the Tribe offensively here today. And it's time now for our key play of the game, brought to you by Key Bank.
Well, you get back and you get into that 6th inning again, and they got one key hit, and then Davis comes up. He got a fastball, middle of the plate, and he was able to shoot it the other way. Jones comes in. He was hit by a pitch, and they got 2 key hits right there. Gave him the lead. They added on from that point on. So Davis, both his doubles today going the other way. That is going to be our Key Bank key play of the game.
Orioles win it by a final score of 4-1. They're off to Chicago as they continue their 3-city road trip. And the Indians are off tomorrow before opening a series against Minnesota on Tuesday night. For Rick Manning and Katie Witham, I'm Matt Underwood. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Indians Live is next.